Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live chat. As we go through today's video, it is going to be a fun one and an interesting one, as it gives a different point of view for once when it comes to Lucin, as for my channel, okay? So as we go along, you can leave your thoughts, your opinions and reactions, and also talk about a range of other stuff in between. If you have any additional information or video request, feel free to state them down below in the comment section, okay? So today's video, going to be incorporating boots on ground media with the use of Google Earth. To be more specific, going to be using the street view on Google Earth and not the normal street view, which I've shown you most of the times in my previous videos. This is a 360-degree sphere image where you can just look all the way around. You get a full point of view. Now, these locations have been taken by hikers, explorers, general public, who have then uploaded those photos online. Kind of similar to those motels, hotels, and pizza restaurants when you've seen those, custom photos uploaded. So we'll see what we can find, if anything stands out. We'll try and get as close as possible to Dylan's farm, whilst also observing the environment and the surrounding land. If there's any buildings, abandoned places, objects, or anything that shows up. Bear in mind, the dates of these images may vary. I don't know if it will show up the dates, but it probably will vary. It could be in the past. But while some people can complain and say, oh, it's not relevant, it's not up to date, it doesn't matter. It provides a point of view to a time before things occurred, so you get an idea of the location, what's missing, and what's present, right? It was demonstrated with Gio Brenner's burnt down trailer, as in 2019, the satellite imagery shows it intact, not burnt down. So you get a perspective, you get a timeline of when things occurred. So this could help fill in the blanks along the way. And also, it might also have access points to locations which are of interest or have been talked about in the past. I guess we'll find out. Let's get into Google Earth right now. So what I'm going to do first is a test run. Okay, we touched that icon. The blue line is obviously street view of the road, but if you look on the right hand side, you can see those little circles, and they're the sphere images, the 360-degree ones. Just over this side, I just wanted to see if there was any. So there only appears to be one near Montello. So we'll just tap that one first, just get a rough idea of what it can look like. Hopefully that should load up. Here we go. So if there were any other photos of these within Montello or out and about, or even Park Valley, let me know as well if you would like to see a follow-up video similar to this one but of a different location, okay? So you get the idea of what it looks like. 360 degree as we go all the way around. You see, you can look up and down. As well, the positive is the image quality is a lot better compared to some of the street view photos we previously looked at, because it was outdated, blurry, even up-to-date stuff. So as we're just briefly looking here, okay, there might be a bit of glitching going on. As you can see, it's not quite aligned, but nothing's perfect. Just let me know if anything stands out to you. You know, you would have seen this area or this type of terrain before in the likes of Lance and Ty's videos, maybe Heavy D as well when he's been out, but, there's still places to explore, right? You just look there, and you notice there's a couple of rocks close gathered together. And you zoom out and you look around, and for the most part of it, it's just vast. You've got lots of bushes, sagebush, vegetation. But for those rocks just to be collected in that one spot does make you think, why? Like, where have they come from? From a mountain? It's not like they've slipped or fallen from anywhere. Did someone just gather them and place them all there? I know at times rocks and stones like that could be used for a makeshift grave, but doesn't appear to be a cross in that spot. Let me know your thoughts on that, because obviously you will come across a couple of them when out and about exploring. Is there anything over that way? Appears to be a vehicle. Most likely that's the persons that took this photo. Just walked along. And yeah, there's not really much else to really look at. It's really good, this. How you get a full 360. What's that? A little stone, I think. Yeah. So let's back out of that. Is there any more, though? Oh, you had two there. Huh. Let's just check that one out. I don't know why there's two. Or did I go on the same one again? Oh, I went on the same one. What an idiot I am. Where's the second one? Oh, it's up this way. Let's just check this one out whilst we're here, because I'm sure there wasn't... Yeah, this is it. So I just want to show you this one. Okay. So it's not far from the first one I shared with you. As you look here, there's a couple of these... Oh, it's a fence. Barbed wire fence. You can make it out. I guess that's to keep people out. Makeshift. You can kind of see it, can't you? So it's almost like it goes all the way around the perimeter, right? Now, when looking at its place, it looks similar to what we've already seen, but when you look here, this is kind of interesting. So when I see this could be the type of things I come across when I've done my previous map analysis videos, where I've noticed there's bits of debris, planks of wood, some kind of structure, or half of a structure that's collapsed on itself. This is probably an example of that. We zoom in, you can see the bits of wood, obviously old and damaged, weakened and weathered. And then you got some kind of structure here, which I'm not quite sure why it is or what it was for. You got like 4 posts or something. Let me know what you think. What do you think it was? And I'm sure you probably get a couple of these out and about when exploring too. But when we zoom in here, this does get interesting. It's almost like one of those makeshift graveyard cemeteries. Only 2 from the looks of it. If you count the 2 small headstones, if they are, then 4 altogether, but I think mainly just 2. It appears just behind it on the right hand side there is like another allocated slot, but I can't seem to make any graves out. Now, I guess having the little fencing around it with the door at the front is a creative touch. It might be more to keep animals out from like digging it up. You know, you wouldn't want that to happen. I don't know who those people are. Probably most likely residents of Montello. Could be family, a couple, anything. Who knows? I mean, when looking at the layout of it, for some reason it kind of reminds me of Red Dead Redemption 1, when you're on the horse, you know, you're playing as a cowboy, and you're going through the desert land, and you in some areas you get these slots of land where you got these fences and then graves within. It just reminded me of that. I don't know if there's many more out there like this, but leave your thoughts. One thing I do know is, and I don't know if it's this one exactly, but I know Ty and, well, it was mainly Lance in his video when he was walking past some graves. I don't know if these are the same ones. I'm sure I saw it in a thumbnail of his previously when exploring out there. And speaking of graves and cemeteries, I remember another comment in recent time referring back to the cemetery in Park Valley. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure there's like 2 cemeteries in Park Valley. You got a small one nearer to the buildings, and then further east you have another one, and it's a bit bigger. And I did do a video of that, got as close as I could, and you could make out, the graves. You could get closer compared to the one in Idaho Falls, so that's something. And recently a person left a comment about that cemetery saying Chase Venstra, when he was there in Park Valley, he was burying something. I don't know how true that is. And referring back to Salty Pancakes going there, whether it was successful or not, whether it happened or not, I'm not sure. If any of you know about that, leave your thoughts down below. It's one of those things, if Chase Venstra was nearby that grave and burying something, is it very suspicious? Some people could say yes. On this occasion, I would say no. And the reason why is because we've already seen Chase Venstra burying things, hiding stuff in the ground, as well as stealing items. So who's to say he was burying something? He might have been digging up a person to steal jewellery, rings, who knows what. He's got experience with both type of things, stealing and digging, so it could have been more that. If it was to do with Dylan, I don't know why going to a cemetery or graveyard to dispose of some of his items maybe would be practical, because at times when you have cemeteries that might exhume the body, dig it back up for whatever reason, and if another person was put on top of that grave or under, it could be revealed, and then that wouldn't be too good in terms of the criminal's point of view. So I don't think it does tie with Dylan, but there is any follow-ups about any of that, we'll see, won't we? Now, let's move on and focus our attention onto the Lucin side. Just make sure I'm facing the correct way. Zoom out a little bit. There we go. We've got Wendover down there, and we've got Lucin here. So I don't know what order you want to do it in. We just tap this first of all. Let's see how many dots we've got. So there's quite a few around West Wendover, but we don't really need to do that. There's one here on that mountaintop, Graham Peak, actually 2. Pilot Peak, 2 there. 1 there. And then 3 scattered around. And those 3 are very near to the grain shed. The grain shed is just here. And the 3 dots, can we do a distance check possibly? I don't know if we can. No, I can't, because if I do it, they'll disappear. The one down here is of sun tunnels. I will share that with you as well, so you get a point of view of that, aside from basic photos. You got another one down here, which is near to a dirt road. Interesting. And then 3 here, which kind of fade out if you zoom in too much. So we've got a couple to get through. Is there any more out and about? Yeah, a few over here, including that one, Desert Peak. Now, we can focus on that another time, because I don't want to go too far off. There is a possibility to be able to go on one of the peaks to overlook far east where the chop shop is. That would be very, very practical. But I'll leave that for a separate video. Just let's focus on the closest points possible first, okay? So I think what we'll do, let's just start with the middle one, the middle ground, here. This one here. Okay? So you get an idea. Grain shed round about there, near that wash. here, okay? I'm just sharing it with you because some people might not know, plus I haven't got the markers activated for this video. Dylan's place of living here, okay, where you would be. So you just get that in mind, and we'll go to the one down here. Here we go. Might take some time to load. Okay. Let's see. This is by Derek Moreno. So this is on flatter land. We're not looking at the mountainous region yet because we want to get an idea. Okay. So as you can see, dirt road itself. Can I try and zoom in without zooming in on the person? Because that'd be a bit weird. But you can see the width for the road quite narrow. You could only fit like one car down at a time. You can see the track marks too. Winds in and out. You can see the rock structure ahead. I just want to share this stuff with you because, you know, although you've got footage out there of people exploring, they can only explore so many areas one at a time, you know. They might not record or show everything on display. This could fill in the blanks. Look at those rock structures. All scattered around, you know, you're surrounded by it. What's that down there? Appears to be a white van. It's probably theirs. How they got there, travelling. Like load in a bit. But you can see how vast it is. I mean, you look at the sky and you look at the, do you call it horizon? Very smooth in the distance. What's down there? Appears to be another vehicle with a tent nearby. That's probably theirs. Kind of interesting, to be fair, because that's probably the sort of thing what would have been seen or would have been seen on the 27th when those campers saw Dylan farming at 11:30 p.m, you know, on the 27th at night. So yeah, it gives a perspective that although it's kind of a ghost town in terms of people living there, there is still the occasional visitors that will hike out, camp, and this demonstrates. Not too much going on, but as we're, you know, going along and I'm scrolling past, I will stop at points so you can take it in yourself, get an idea of the view, the distance. Let me know if there's any cracks, any gaps in the rock, the land, any possible locations in your mind to where Dylan could be, or maybe where it's worth searching if certain parts haven't been seen to, okay? Now, that appears to be it for most part of it, okay? As we zoom in here, just to double check, doesn't seem to be any caves or any holes in the sides. Looks relatively normal. In the distance though, I'm not quite sure what that is because I can't remember what direction we're facing in, but there appears to be some kind of building structure in the distance. It looks fairly long. Now, I might be wrong, but if that is a building structure, that does look like the hangar of Lucin Airport. I might be wrong. I know it's not the grain shed because one, I think it's in the wrong, well, I don't know about the direction, but it looks too long for it to be the grain shed. The grain shed is, well, it's not square, it's more of a rectangle, but it's not that deep, it's not that big. You know, we've seen it ourselves in real, not in, well, kind of in real life with the footage of pancakes. So, yeah, that appears to be more the hangar, but I could be wrong because the hangar is further north of the grain shed. You know, it's on the other side of the wash and the railway tracks. And if that was the case, then you would be able to see the grain shed just in front of it, and you can't. So maybe it's not the hangar. It can't be. But you can see some stuff in the distance, a few white objects and stuff. Can't quite make it out. Maybe if we can get closer later on, we might be able to make things out better. It does make me think though, you've got that white van down there, and then you've got the car over here with the tent. So is it like the same people or different? I'm not too sure. Looking back over this way just to double check, doesn't appear to be any caves or anything suspicious looking. No, let's move on. Just zoom on out. So, that structure, what we saw, it wouldn't have been that way. Was it looking that way? No, because I don't know. I don't know what the structure was. It looks like some kind of building. Right. See these two here? Let's check those out. Oh, there's a couple of them as well. Try and get as close as possible. Do the lower one. There we go. Right, so it's approaching Pilot Peak. This is the mountainous region, almost on the border, virtually, between Montello, Nevada and Lucin, Utah. Okay. So we finally get an idea of what this area looks like. And right off the bat, it's like, whoa, what's going on here? Yeah. When we have, looked at the mountainous part on Google Earth, it looked steep, You got to understand that looks can be deceiving, because when you actually see it in person, it's going to be a lot worse than it appears on the maps. And to be honest, you can get the idea right now with this being a real life picture of the place. Have you seen how steep it is? There doesn't even seem to be an official pathway, not even a normal hiking path. It's just pure off-road, rough, rugged terrain. Maybe arguably this is just as bad, if not worse, than Jomay Canyon. Possibly. But look at the distance, look at the view over there. When looking that way, that should be Lucin, and that should be I think, is it called the Great Salt Lake, or is that the one over that way towards Salt Lake City? It is a dried up lake from the looks of it. And lower down there should be a road which goes along it by the side, and eventually, depending which way you're looking, should go off onto the highway, and then you end up going to Wendover. I'm not sure if I'm looking at it from the correct direction, but look at that. You're looking, just looking at the rocks, it looks unstable, a little dangerous, probably rock fall as well, you've got to look out for too. You look up there and you think, what route, what pathway do you go? Because it just seems, aimless, directionless, if that's a word. You've got to make your own path, make your own way up there somehow. This is definitely a good example of a place someone like Jim Brenner, Chase Venstra, or really anyone wouldn't go to. That would not be here on top of taking Dylan. You know what I'm saying? Not practical whatsoever. Their body, their health, their age, their mobility, it would be too demanding for them to do that, as well as dragging Dylan with them. Just wouldn't happen, okay? But there are other areas where they could get to, so we're not ruling it out completely. Just hold for now, okay? So you kind of got a split in a way, because depending on how you look at it, on Google Earth it looks like a spine that goes all the way down the mountainous region and the border. But looking at it from this angle, there's kind of a split, because you got this mountainous region that sticks out here, and then you got the other one lower down there which builds its way up and then eventually connects with the one we're currently on. So it might look a little bit confusing at times, okay? I can't quite describe it, what I mean, but I know, I've got the idea, okay? What are those rocks? Anything that stands out? I mean, we might as well look at them, because if people like Lance and Ty were looking at the railroad, the tracks and the rocks nearby, just in case Dylan was buried underneath any of them, we can do the same here. But as well, do you know, like when you're walking, it's like, how do you even step on this stuff? Won't it be very wobbly and uncomfortable? Can you see any caves over there? If I do go a little bit quick, you can pause the video if you want to. It looks like there could be a cave there in the middle of the screen in the distance, or it might just be a gap in the rock. And then over that way should be Nevada again. Well, no, more over that way. Is that Mount Charleston over there? No, probably not. What am I on about? Just saw the snow, it just reminded me, that's all. Right, I think it's time we should move on. So, oh, don't want to press that button. Where are these dots at? So I don't miss them. So we did this one. Where's one just a bit further up? Will that one load in? This one should be just, I guess, a bit higher up. There we go. So you can actually see one of the hikers in front. You see the way they're walking. They've got the hiking poles. Obviously, I hope Jay Silverheels isn't watching right now, because Jay Silverheels did have a bit of a meltdown when he heard about, you know, well, he just doesn't like hikers with all the fancy gear on and the hiking poles. It's like, man, you get the hiking poles and the indentations in the ground. Man, nice to meet you, but the party is over, man. I have had enough of this. Oh, they're all well suited. Well, how do you do? Well, good luck to you. I don't care. I do not want to meet you out there. I'm gonna do my own path. We're gonna go off road. We don't need all this high tech gear. That's basically what he was getting at. Okay. So, look at that. A bit of a rock wall going on the side. This part, interestingly, is quite flat and smooth, as you can see. There's a few cracks, but it looks relatively smooth. That's interesting. Quality of the image is pretty good. We zoom in here, bit of vegetation. What's that orange and yellow stuff? Maybe the yellow stuff could be a plant, but that orange, is that part of the rock? Some kind of ore, some kind of resource, minerals, I don't know. Rust, possibly. Clay, probably not. You can see it's kind of scattered about. Could even be vegetation of some sort. I'm not too sure. Is it algae? Could it be some kind of algae? There's quite a bit of it collecting on the rocks and in the gaps. Maybe if any geologists or people that are interested in rocks can analyse some of these images as we go along, okay? But you look down there and you just notice how steep it is. Even on the side of that mountainous area, there's no way, well, not practical to be going up that way. You see how steep it is. All that gravel and loose rock, you put your foot on it, you'll slide probably all the way down, most likely. So yeah, it is pretty rough. Okay, so you get a better view of the lake itself. And from the looks of that, that's what I mean. The road should be down there. So you go around that lake slightly. You can actually see it. Yes, there we go. Bends around the lake, and then you turn right and you go over that way. And then over in the distance, it doesn't seem to show, but there should be the highway somewhere to Wendover. So we are on the right track and we're looking in the right direction. This is the Lucin side. So that's all good. Damn, look at that. You look at the rocks as well. Some of that will be loose. When looking at that rock wall, that definitely reminds me of Kenny Beach. Especially when Sean Holliker was looking at the supposed covered up cave in Nevada and was looking at the rock wall, the face of it, and noticed there was chunks of rock missing from the side. You could see the patch of where it originally was, and some of the rock that was remaining was all crumbly and was falling onto the ground. And then you're looking for like gaps, you were looking for like puzzle pieces almost, as if like the rocks were stuck together or piled on top of one another. And obviously this is natural looking, but it played with the eyes when it came to the Kenny Beach case, because that's what you were looking at, rocks and caves. When looking for Dylan, it's, well, I guess it's still the same thing, isn't it? Caves, mines, possible graves, burial sites, abandoned buildings. It's much more open for interpretation in terms of where he could be at. What's that? Roots in the ground. Yeah, I think we should move on now. We've seen enough here. Yeah. Right, so we've done that one. Now we'll go to this one here, a bit further up. There we go. Let that load in. So at this point, it doesn't seem as bad compared to what we've previously seen when looking up that way. It's still steep, yes, but the ground, less rocks. You know, you've got much smaller ones now. Beforehand, there was much bigger rocks, all cluttered together, and you had to try and step on them all. Yeah. Oh, there's some people there. Let that load in. Okay, so we're still looking at Lucin over that way, just a bit higher up now. Now, obviously, if anything dodgy was seen, then they might have come across it, but we've also got to take in mind the different times of when photos were taken. This is most likely taken before Dylan went missing. Probably 2019, or it could even be 2020. Who knows? You got the colouring of the rock there, and you will see more of that later on, okay? At first, it kind of looks like blood, yeah, but there's too much of it for it to be blood. You get me? You'll see it spread around as well. Yeah. Very smooth over that way. Very steep too. So let's see if we can actually get all the way up to the top and see what actually shows when looking up there. Pilot Peak. Okay, so there appears to be at least 4 different markers up this way. Also, key thing to take in mind, these photos, when they've been taken, definitely different time of the season, because obviously on Google satellite imagery, it's all snowy, all snow collected at the top, but here you can't see any. Different timing, obviously. Now, when getting back to this point, once again, just look at that. Look at all the rocks, how loose it could be when you've got to try and step on it. That must be awkward. And as well, just try not to go over your ankle if you slip off one of the rocks or something like that. You can definitely imagine when it rains as well, that would be risky to hike up. There you go, look at that, you get a good range and depth. You can see a few different roadways down there and paths, possibly. I could be wrong, it might just be where water has gone down from the mountainous area. Not a wash, but just a small stream, is that what you call it? A spring, yeah? Can we make out any buildings at the moment? Not quite, can't quite make that out. I don't know if it's, I think we've gone a bit too past it possibly, but there was a farm near to the lake, but I think it might have been further left over that way, which we can't see at the moment. Okay. Look at that, you can make more over that way. Is that roads or not? Oops, we zoomed out. Kind of hard to tell. Just seeing, what can I see? Is it over that way where you've got salt lakes? Oh no, I don't know. It just doesn't seem to show from this angle. Sometimes it's hard to match up in real life to on maps. But look at that. All that rocks. Like, is it normal this? What caused it? Is it like lots of rock fall, or is it because of mining possibly? Because, you know, you look at all the other mountains, like the one down that way maybe, the one there, and then other ones in the distance and around. How come this one's got all these big boulders and rocks piled on top of one another? It just looks a bit weird. One thing I will point out, what's that there? Appears to be some yellow paint, it's almost like camouflaged paint in a way. And you can make out a gap there. What is in there? Is it a mine? It's been filled in, maybe? I'm not sure. Is it a cave? It goes in so far, I guess, because it's dark. Don't know how deep it is, or if it's a drop. Is it a vertical mine or a horizontal one? If anyone does know, feel free to let me know. I can't imagine Dylan being in there, but, you know, if you get places like this, but in easier to reach locations, and there is a possibility that that could have occurred with Dylan. You see all the rocks scattered about, even on top, and then you just got that little gap there, and these slabs too, which are different coloured. Can you see? That's interesting, that. Could it have been filled in, possibly? I don't know, it just looks like a potential opening. Starting from maybe there, and then into there. Yeah, let's move on. Get a little man out again. And we'll go right to the top now, okay? Right to the very top. Well, it looked like it was on the top. Here we go. So this is the top of Pilot Peak, okay? You can see, yeah, more stones scattered about, and this is quite interesting. Look at that view, what you get. I will go slow in a second. I just want to do a quick twirl, okay? So, this is interesting because I'm sure this was the spot Don Hatley was referring to, possibly. Or maybe it was one of the more easier to reach locations where there's a road, and I think we can get to that shortly. Because I just want to talk about this in brief for now, so we set the scene for later. In the mountainous areas such as here, preferably maybe further on where there's road access. That was what Don Hatley was talking about at the start when police were questioning at the farm, wondering where Dylan was. And when Don Hatley was asked, he gave out, you know, ideas and saying of locations like, oh, you need to go to the mountainous area because there's a rubbish dump up there. It's all messy and Dylan's most likely buried under it and hidden up there. You need to take a check. And obviously when they went there and explored, they didn't find Dylan, and it was pretty clear and not trashed. So makes you wonder why he was lying then. It's weird though how Don Hatley passed the polygraph test and yet he lied at the start of the case. I don't understand why. Was it some kind of diversion tactic to drag things out? I'm not sure. If you know why, leave your thoughts down below. Now, let's get back to the image here. Very clear quality from my point of view at least. We zoom in here, there appears to be a mailbox, which is a bit weird to have. I assume it's more of a monument or some kind of recognition, possibly a memento or a beacon, a marker possibly. Or do people actually, can people who hike up there write on a bit of paper saying, I was here, and then post it in, maybe? I don't know. Is there any way it was actually used for some kind of mail service back in the past with mining in the area? Leave your thoughts down below. I think it's more of like a marker, beacon type of thing, which you could possibly post something inside of it, like a message. I don't know if it actually opens up, but yeah, one of those typical American mailboxes which you would get at your house where you live at, or at the end of a street, you know? I don't know why I'm telling you, because you are from America, most likely. I'm the one who's not. Right, also, if we just take a look, bottom left corner of the screen, this one's taken by Jake, another individual. Maybe it's of the same group, but it looks like a different person. Okay. When looking at these rocks in this area, they are piled on top of each other like a rock wall. We can make that out. Kind of similar to the rock wall in Nevada. Don't know the location because it was never given out. But the guy called Frank from Exploring Abandoned Mines and Unusual Places, he came across almost like a makeshift man-made rock wall outside of a cave, which was interesting. And then that cave inside had an Area 51 sign buried, tucked away. Some people question the naturalness of that, obviously, but yeah, just a reminder of seeing that rock wall. And if we rotate around, you can make out there is a circular rock wall there. Now, from looking at it that angle, it appears to be like a well. It looks like some kind of well, but I don't think it is. I think we can get a bit closer to it from a different angle shortly. But it's like, who would build that and why? Was it done by visitors? People messing around, building a wall, like how people do at the beach, building a sandcastle? Or was it by workers? And why would they do it? Do any of you know? Is it creating a bit of shading? A shelter to stay in, possibly? Not too sure. Can't make much out. Nothing odd seems to stick out at the moment. See how it goes down the elevation of it in the distance. I reckon over that way should be Montello, but I could be wrong. It's kind of hard to make out. That's definitely the Lucin side. Bit of overlapping with imagery. Can't quite make out any buildings on the ground level down there. The farm should be somewhere down there. It could be here. I can make out stuff on the side, like a few fields possibly. Yeah. We got a bit of water, a bit of lakes over that way. What's that there? Just a rock. Oh, is that a bit of wiring, possibly? Looks like some wires. I guess that was from the past with the mining. I wonder why. Was that to move the rocks about, or was it used to blow up things, possibly? You know, you got some craters further on the side of the mountainous region on the Montello side, so the possibility about that side of it, because obviously with mining, you know, they do use explosives at times, and that's what can also cause rock fall, so who knows. A few rocks over there, maybe piled on top of one another. You thought you might have got a monument where you get a couple of rocks stacked on top of each other. Sometimes you get that on peaks, yeah? People might do it, hikers. Even in Nevada with Indians in the past, they might have done it as a marker. I know we're out and about near Jeremy Canyon or Sheep Range when J Chuck Vlogs was hiking out there himself, wild man, like a dog crawling around all over the place. He called himself that, don't worry. He called himself that, like a wild dog out there, and he did a lot of exploration, did a lot of searching, going up the ravines and everything. And he came across a couple of markers too, which was interesting. Not really seeing any like that here though that there is interesting. Just want to look over there. So it continues on and it goes in and out. You see, it's not a straight mountainous region, it bends in and out. Parts of it sticks on the Lucin side, other parts over that way are on the Montello, Nevada side, so it's worth taking that into mind. Now, in terms of sun tunnels and Dylan's grain shed, it should be further over that way, centre of the screen, if I'm correct in saying, over that way. Dylan's place of living maybe a bit over that way, to the right. Yeah. Interesting. Can we get any other angles? Couple here. Damn, there is quite a few of them. Try and do that one. Okay, this explains why there is multiple dots. Okay, you can get the arrows on the bottom so we can actually move around now, so that's good. I guess if it's taken in close proximity, the different photos, and it's by the same user, you've got the option to move around, kind of like a microcosm of Street View. All right, Lucin side, and then over that way should be Montello. Yeah, it should be. That should be Montello, right? It should be. You can actually make it out now. Down there you've got a couple of farms, you've got a barn, some buildings going on. So that's good. Yeah, look at that. Let me know if you can see it as well. Make out the dirt roads too. Bit of the land. Not seen any pivots yet. Looks snowy over that way. And there you go, you got the hikers there, sat down. Is that circular thing? Oh, there's a circular one, I think. Yeah, okay. Let's move around a bit. You got the mailbox back there, as we saw. You've got the well, what looks like a well, but when you look down inside, it's not, obviously, because you've got the ground there. You see? I don't know how you actually get in. I guess you just jump down. Don't know what the actual point of it is for, but if we look and zoom in, you can see a couple of old items, possibly. Like, look at this. Looks like a copper or old metallic pan. And then some other kind of dish next to it. Very rusty and old, obviously. Weathered too. So maybe it was for mining, because it looks like the type of stuff you would see at a mine. Reminds me of some of the mines that Scott Natal explored in Nevada when looking for Kenny Veach. He himself, who actually descended into the mine shaft, what Kenny Veach stood near at the start of his video. And I think the DNWR said you're not allowed to move rocks or take items away, but Scott Natal ended up taking a few items away. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. I think he took a few pans or pots and bottles, old beer bottles too. Not really seen any old beer bottles at the moment, from my memory. Is there anywhere else we can go? What's over that way? Oh, it gets a little bit clearer, doesn't it? So it's more to the left over that way, where the possible farm is. yeah, you get a good view. Apologies if this is a little bit boring. I just want to show you every different angle possible so we don't really miss out too much. That's from a different angle, different view. Don't think there is anything in there. Just those two items. That should be it though, shouldn't it? Yeah. Oh, this is inside. Nice. So we're actually inside that circular thing. Cool. Bit wonky over that way. But there's not much going on here. Nothing odd or suspicious, unless you think so. Let's move on out, okay? So yeah, Pilot Peak. Got a good distance of everything that's around. Is there any other mountainous areas? Okay, a bit up that way. Do we need to do the one down here though? Graham Peak. Maybe I could give it a quick try. I don't want it to be boring you in any way. Right, there we go. Just let that load in. So now, whilst we're here at Graham Peak, the elevation is a lot lower compared to where we previously were at. Hopefully it just loads in and processes. Just get an idea of this location. I mean, it's still quite high when you look down that way. So, over there should be Pilot Peak, one of them. Doesn't seem as big or tall, but then again, we are already on another peak. You're on ground level, or more close over that way, then it would appear bigger, okay? Can't quite make anything unusual out. I guess it would be interesting though if you were stranded up here, how it would appear during the likes of a thunderstorm. You know, the higher you are, closer to the clouds as it comes over. Must be kind of spooky. Yeah, although it's interesting to point out, although you got a good view and it's very vast and open, it's also very difficult to make out stuff in the distance. It might be because it's all similar colouring, you know, the ground, bit hazy, bit dusty. That can obscure the view, the vision. But you get an idea of Graham Peak too. You got a reflection over there, the mountainous bit, because of the water. Oops. Clumsy bastard, Andrew. Oh, I'm such a spasmoid. Right. So it appears you've got one more orb to look at down here. Closer to Montello. We'll see if we can see that in the distance now. Because we were way down there, Pilot Peak. So it wouldn't have been possible to see Montello. So just to make sense of things in terms of where we're at. Get off. How do we get that off? No, I don't want you to load Street View. I literally just typed it. I just tapped get the fuck off right now. There we go. So when I said the farms, this is like the farm area. Okay. You can see it. The buildings. Yeah, you can see those near to the lake and some of the land there. That's what we were looking down at when we were up here on the peak. And then when I said, oh, we can see some farms, it was the ones here. You can see that one there. We saw them. Okay? And then the highway, wherever that was. There. Hard to make out though, because the way it branches around. but never mind. Let's do this midsection or near to Bald Eagle Mountain. So this is a good spot to be at because we're overlooking Montello, hopefully. Possibly Dylan's farm over that way. We'll try, unless there's obstructions. But as well, Bald Eagle Mountain is where Heavy D and his crew from the helicopter came from and explored, along with Lance and Ty, who are still actively searching out there. And Bald Eagle Mountain, I think, might be the zone what Donna Hatley was referring to too, because it's more vehicle friendly in comparison to the Pilot Peak, what we were at beforehand. There was no way of getting up there in terms of vehicles. Okay. Different time of the season taken. I don't know if that's snow. It might just be, it might not. It just looks a bit snowy. Look how dark it is though, and gloomy. So yeah, that's what I was like referring to. If there was a storm, you see it coming overhead. That would be rough, especially if you caught up in it. There we go. You can see you've actually got roads there, although we were talking about the mountainous area before and in the past, and people were like, no, someone like Brenner wouldn't go there. He wouldn't be able to make it. He wouldn't be able to walk it. It wouldn't be possible. Impossible. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, look, you've got actual access points here, roads, which vehicles can go on. Brenner's got a vehicle, a truck, so he can use that, can't he, to get about. Might not be used much, but if it needs to be used, it will be. And he can put Dylan in the back, take him all the way up here, and then dispose of him in some way, possibly. You know what I'm saying? Look at the ground, the texturing of it looks relatively normal. We got the trees there. They're the type of ones what we've seen in Lance's video because of Bald Eagle Mountain. Oh, there's half of a person, just the head of someone. You see how tall it gets up that way. Where does the road continue round there? I can't quite make out. I think it does, yeah. There's a road on the very side. And it goes up that way too, round that bend. So it is accessible. Obviously it's still dangerous because depending on the lighting, the weather as well, you don't want to drive off the edge because that can definitely happen. That's why I am surprised that you don't see wreckages of cars coming off from mountains and drops. I am surprised that's not been found yet. Let me know if you've seen any. So yeah, there you go. You can see the colouring of it. Doesn't look as steep round here, but still dangerous. Where's he gone? Ah, I see. We weren't able to look at Montello because when I was looking in that direction, it was obstructed by the vehicle, where that vehicle was, and then the mountain behind that. So you just couldn't see through, really. Okay. And as well, can't get him off, can I? No, there we go. We were literally right next to, we were that one there, and we were literally right next to this here. You know, get the fuck off. Where that mound is. But we're on the other side. I guess, like here. We were somewhere like here, I think. But you wouldn't have been able to see this side because it's obstructed by, the rock wall itself, where it goes up and down. But you can see all the access points, and what it also goes to show is, although it might have been used for mining, whether it still is or not, we do know now, and also through Lance's videos, that the roads are accessible and they're not private. It's not like only for mining people. No, general public can go up there too. So then that gives that understanding that maybe, one of the suspects could have, use the roads at some point, possibly. You can share your opinions as well, what you think about the location. There you go. Whoa, look at that. That wasn't supposed to happen. Right, it appears there's no more markers here in the mountainous area, so we can now move on to the low ground, I think. Was there any images of Bald Eagle Mountain? No, there isn't. No one's taken any. Interesting. Right, so I'm just going to flip the screen just for a second, just so we get an idea of where we are at. So we're looking at these 4 dots, okay? That is 3 of them. Do this one first, if it loads in. Okay, here we go. Emerson again, so he has been around. Emerson Bustamante. That name, Bustamante, what does that remind me of? What's the person's name now? Shit, I forgot. Alyssa Bustamante. Yeah, that true crime. That person, Alyssa Bustamante, was it the 15-year-old teenager girl that killed her neighbour who was much younger, 8-year-old. Was it called Elizabeth? Can't remember. Just reminds me. Right, so we're looking at this area now. That person in the distance again, who we saw earlier. Very vast, open. You can see those poles there, but I think they're the overhead lines, possibly. Why does it come to a standstill, or does it? Oh, it goes on over that way, if you can make it out. Yeah, there you go, you see a few more poles. Oh god, this imagery is a bit shit. Can't really make anything out in the distance at the moment. I think they're bushes. Let's see if we can find a better one. I hate it when it flips the image. So annoying. Do the one on the road. See if that provides a better understanding. Not really. You can see how it's double vision almost. But you look at the dirt road itself, it's fairly smooth considering compared to the ones in Nevada where it's very rocky. You can still get punctures in your tyres most likely though. There you go, you got the overhead lines, you see. Look a little bit flimsy though, don't they? Kinda. And then the mountain border over there. Is this called Pilot Road by any chance? Because it's near to the mountain Pilot Peak. And I guess somewhere over there could be the Farmadillons. It's hard to tell when you are on ground level. Because I'm so used to being bird's eye view on the maps. And it is a bit confusing when you've got like double vision with the weird camera quality. Right, move on to the final dot over here. Hopefully you're enjoying the video up to now. Like, gives a different perspective of Lucin and some of the areas. Hopefully these are like first time viewings of some of the locations as well. Right, okay. Nothing appears to be on the ground. Interestingly, I've not seen any track marks yet. As you would have seen when people have been out there exploring, looking for Dylan. But then again, this is probably just pure off-road, so you're not going to really get that. But then again, you do see people taking shortcuts. Maybe we can find some more further on. Right, so basically they're similar. I don't know why it always flips the image when I do that. It's annoying. Right, so we've done the one on the left. Which one now? Let's do the second to last one, this one down here. Sun Tunnel. Yeah, well, we might as well do that whilst we're here. Now there's so many different ones, I don't know which one you want me to click on. Can we do the center one? Ah, there we go. So this would have been taken by multiple people, so there's multiple different points of views, but I don't think we need to go through every single one. Is that the moon up there? Yeah. There you go, you got the people camping out there, the ones that took the photo. There's a standard tent, vehicle, no trailers. Interesting, yeah, we've not seen any trailers yet. And here's the sun tunnel, the way they are present. A few holes inside of them, which drill through. That's done to allow, I guess, the light to shine through. Look at that, looks quite good, that. Look in the distance, you probably get some good professional photos as well if you were there with the correct equipment and timing the light. Look at the ground though. Although it's still dry, the ground looks a bit more, what do you call it, malleable. Looks like you can create track marks and footprints in that, because it kind of looks a bit damp, you know, the way it's collected. You know, the way it looks though, a bit lumpy and bumpy. It almost looks similar to the ground at Dylan's place of living, just near to, you know, his truck on the ground near to the wheel. You remember where we said it looked like it'd been power washed, and it looked like all the mud and dirt that fell off collected on the ground nearby and then formed and dried. It kind of looks like that here, where it's a bit lumpy bumpy. It looks a bit damp. I don't know how to describe it, it just looks damp. You know, like if I've been walking somewhere and you're going across some ground, and just by the visual look of it, you get the idea it's wet, or it's kind of wet. Not flooded, but it's absorbed water. Let's just get a different angle, because I want to try and get those track marks if possible. Because as you can see quite a few of them. Cracks in the ground. There you go, look, can you see that track mark there? Quite a thick wheel, that. You get the idea, so that's the type of stuff that Tyne Lands have come across. Now, some of it has been excused and explained because of search and rescue and police going back and forth at some point in the past. So that clears that up. Also, if you remember the tracks in the wash where the mob crew came across them with the drone footage, that was also explained in the end, and that was by search and rescue, I believe, using some kind of machinery. They were using it as an access point to get through. So, you know, it's one of those things where, as you go along within the case, maybe not the main finding of Dylan is solved, but little bits of confusion and findings are resolved as we go along. So it just declutters things, right? And that is helpful. So you get the idea of all the different track marks, don't you? What's that red thing down there? Is that a shotgun shell? No, it looks too big to be one. It looks wet though, doesn't it? That ground does look wet, even though it's kind of dry at the same time. You got the cracks. Ah, look at that footprint. So, you know, nothing that, you know, it's caused by the person taking the photo, but when you look at those prints, that's like the type of stuff which was being talked about as well within the Dylan Rounds case, near Dylan's land, like who's been out there, who's been searching, whose are they, and also at times where it's like, where are they? There's no prints, kind of like with the whole Don Hatley and Jim Brenner situation where they supposedly went out on a Saturday or Sunday looking for Dylan, and yet there was no footprints whatsoever, and there should have been, because footprints were left by Candice, who was out there searching beforehand, I think. So it's like, did they lie? Did they not go out there? Maybe they said they were, just so they didn't appear suspicious, and then thought, oh, screw it, we're not going to bother looking because we don't care or we're a part of it, so there's no point. A few bits of mounds, not much, but yeah. Are they caused by animals or is it just by the vehicles? Because like sand, isn't it? It's like sandy in this area. Look at those holes in the side. And obviously they're not bullet holes. We're not going into a Tyler Feller situation where people spent like an hour or something analysing the back of Dylan's truck thinking that a bullet hole caused it or something, but it wasn't. It was like a keyhole. No, we're not doing that. So yeah, I think that basically describes all of that, okay? You get the idea. Once again, no matter what direction you're looking, even if you weren't aware or you did know, you can't really make out anything either. Zoom in. Actually, what's over there? I can see some black stuff. Is that animals? Or is that buildings? I don't know. Let's just hover around, okay? Hover around. Can't really see anything. No, can't make anything out. Let's back out. And that was sun tunnels. And what way was I looking at? Guess it's difficult to make out. I mean, it's literally on that road. How close can I get to it? The closest possible to try and keep everything in line is that one there. Right, it's not moved, has it? Oh, those people are in the way. So it should be over that way then, past that car, because I've not moved anything. And yeah, just can't really make anything out. Oh, there's a person in there. Right. You got an RV over there. Can you see? There you go. Right, screw the sun tunnels. There's only so much you can see there. Whoa. Now we do the mid one. This one here, right? What shows up here? Oh, what's going on here? Okay. This is a little bit different. Same guy that's taken the picture. What's going on here? Does it do any of you know? It's kind of random, this. I assume that's the mountainous region. What's that there? Looks like a mound, doesn't it? Or is it a rock? Just on the ground. Just in the middle of the screen. Not over that, not where the mountains are, but literally right in front on the ground there. There appears to be like a mound. What's that for? Kind of looks a bit odd. Do any of you know why it is? Let me know. Wait, I can make something out over that way. It's hard to explain. Right, so you see that white truck where it's parked on the road? Just to the right of it, okay, look up. Where you see that metal pole, which is diagonal on the screen, look halfway up on that pole, and just to the left of it, way in the distance, you can make out some kind of shape, like a dark shape. Is that Dylan's grain shed? I'm not sure, it could be. I mean, it depends which way we're facing, I know. But this is like the midsection between the other two orbs on the map we've looked at, facing that direction. You've got the dirt road by the side. Guess you're thinking about taking mine as well. What about the brass? Not the brass, the bra. No, not the bra, the brass. Shit. Yeah, the brass shed where Dylan would sometimes go down, just like equipment in there. Where's that shed at? I can't see it. It can't be this, can it? Because this is like a complete mess. I don't even know what that is. Actually, I'll have a look at that shortly. Huh. I can definitely make something out over there, like a building. Appears to be a mound there, which is odd. You got the mountains region, the border, basically. I think. Oh god, yeah, it should be that. And then over there, it's but there's something over there as well. What's that black thing? Is that just the cars, the vehicles? Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to tell. Or is it just other people living? I don't know. Oh, you can see the track marks in the ground very faintly. I can. It kind of crisscrosses over in the middle of the screen. This is the sort of stuff what we're seeing on the satellite imagery scattered about. That's interesting. Also, the ground as well is kind of whitish, and that's similar to what's been seen somewhere over that way, I think. You know, where the cell phone ping was. So you get the idea of what the ground looks like, where as it appears white on the satellite, it is white when you're actually there. So let's just zoom out for a second and try and understand what this is. I don't know, it looks like someone stood on top. It does look like a storage container unit, I guess. Could this be the brass shed? Even though it's not a shed, it's more of a storage container. I don't know. I don't have the markers on, unfortunately. It probably would have been better. Maybe next time if I do a map analysis or something, or maybe I can do it in a second. Do you know what? I'll just do it in a second, okay, or so, and I'll just see if any of the markers which I've placed down previously are actually near to or on top of these orbs, these spheres of exploration. That's weird. What's that doing there? A few bricks in a circle of cement. Why? What's the point of that? Is it for a fire? Maybe? A little burning pit, possibly? Few planks of wood on top. Then you've got this weird contraption. What the hell's that? Is that a table on its side? I really don't know what that is. Got like all poles and things sticking off. Like, I have no idea what that is, and I don't know what it's doing there. It's like it's resting on top. And then what's all that? Bits of plastic? There's no idea what it is. Random bits of wood. What you got down here? Some kind of shelf or something? It's just very random. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be someone's home, a storage container, just for storing equipment. Has this got anything to do with way back in the past with those railroad people in the community? Do you know, like when we're reading that Ivor Zadovsky article, and it said about the people in the area ended up moving on, and most of the buildings were taken with them lifted off the ground. Is this one of them that remained? I don't know. Look, it's as if someone's making some kind of makeshift home, like a project. Do you know a bit like what Lance did when he turned those like containers or something into a place of living? It kind of reminds me of that, because you got almost like a porch or some kind of step you walk on, but then you got all this like random bit of like, what's that person doing? I just don't understand. It's like, it's so cluttered, and I don't know if it's like a dumping ground or if it's like connected together. I don't know what that is, some pipe or something. And then you got this weird thing on top, which, is it on the ground there? You know, you got something down there, which looks like a post, which is wedged into the ground, and you've got rocks or cement around it to hold it in place. It goes up, and then is it attached to this device? Maybe not. I don't know if they're connected or not. Yeah, it is confusing. If any of you know, feel free to let me know. Okay. But yeah, the yellow thing does look like some kind of storage container. Right, okay. Is there anywhere else to look at? Any additional dots? Nope, not there. We've looked at the ones there. That's the sun tunnel one. We've already done that. Where's Dylan's place of living? No dots there. Anything near Lucin? No, so no one's really explored there. So, I'm just trying to understand. So we said about the road. I guess we were facing this way, maybe? And then the road was there where the vehicle was parked on. You flip the image. The airport's over that way. Where's the grain shed? The grain shed's over here, so we got to try and angle it so it's like that. I don't know what degree that is, to be honest. It's hard to size up. Maybe it's not possible. No, it should be. Or is it? I don't know, the elevation. Let's just give it one last try. Got to try and focus on that road. Where's that road gone? Right, so the road's there, so I've got to be looking over that way, somewhere over there. But why does it not show? Why can't I see anything? Oh wait, there is something over there. It's very hard to see. I can't even really describe, to be honest. It's like in the middle of the screen. I can just see a faint black dot. Could that be the grain shed? Possibly, because it looks more in that direction. I tried aligning it all. Maybe. But then, what about that there? See, this is why it gets confusing. It's really the only main road there. And then something over that way. Okay then. Well, if that's the case, then what is it? So I was looking that way. So what's in that distance? Main road, but there's no like building or object. That's really weird. Hold on. Oh shit. Oh wow. Yeah, I've just realised. Damn. I've just realised. That direction I was looking in. Yeah. Oh, wow, I just realised. This area here is obviously to do with the whole phone, the final phone ping in this area. So what was that black thing I was seeing? So I was here, and I was looking that way from that angle, and there was something black over that way in the middle of the screen. So it wasn't the grain shed, because the grain shed is over that way. So it's some other building, and what other building could it be? Because I didn't see anything, and nothing shows on the satellite imagery. So something may have been built after 2019, maybe. Do any of you know? Oh. Because it can't be a rock, it can't be a mountain, because it didn't look like one. And over in that distance, it looks fairly flat. I just want to try and get one final look just here, because this is kind of nearby to the whole final cell phone ping. So I just want to see, because I was unaware. Is it loading? Oh, it's taking forever. Oh, I don't know if it's going to work. There we go. Yeah, it's double imagery, isn't it? But I mean, this is the only way you can look at it. It's near to a road, so unless someone was driving nearby the area, the final phone ping, such as if Dylan was actually in the car being transported to somewhere, that's really the only way of looking at it. So I think we've looked at all the orbs now. Right, so yeah, to me at least, it did provide a different, point of view, at least from the peaks, where you can like look all the way around and see the distance too. It would have been nice if there was a few more of those markers, maybe in the Montello side and near the mountainous region, near Bald Eagle Mountain, just to be able to have a proper look around. Didn't see any mines, but there's quite a few of them, but they are elsewhere. They're not near to those markers, from what I could see at least. So yeah, I think that is basically it. You can leave your thoughts down below on what you think of the video. I don't think some of those locations have been shown in videos previously. I know you got Bald Eagle Mountain on the other side, where Heavy D Crew and they were at, but the Pilot Peak, I don't think they've been up there. I don't think really many have when looking for Dylan. So that's like a new location to share with you in a sense. Plus also you had that little grave at the start of this video, the Montello one. If you haven't checked it out, make sure to watch back at the start because that was interesting as well. So yeah, weird how I couldn't really clearly make out the grain shed and maybe other buildings and other farms nearby or within the area. I had a difficult time looking for that. It's ironic considering it's quite open and vast and clear, and yet it was still difficult to see. Let me know if you had any difficulties trying to look around for objects. Yeah. In addition, another important point to make note of is there are some locations which need to be looked at, okay? Need to be investigated at some point. I know the odd person did give some, what's that noise going on next door? Fucking neighbours trying to ruin this video. Fuck off. But you've got certain locations, one at least in Montello, a farm, okay? And then there's another place too, which I can't remember the name of, which need to be looked at. And the weird thing was, one of them wasn't allowed to be investigated by the police, no permission or something. But we can do like a map analysis of that sometime, try and zoom in on the area, and try and do maybe a checklist of places that need to be checked that haven't been yet, or certain access has been restricted or denied, okay? Because that can help as well. It will show which places are still, needing to be looked at, whether they can or not be. Could reveal something, who knows, we'll see as time goes on. As for the explorations of Ty and Lance, they're still doing well with their videos, constantly, searching from the looks of it at least. Still focusing on the mines, which is normal, which is fine, because they might as well be looked at if they can be in the present, just in case, because like with what I've been saying about the whole mountainous area, and if there's mines nearby, maybe Dylan might have been taken to one. I understand certain things aren't practical, but if you've got a vertical mine shaft, maybe, and you can just literally dump someone down it, body falls all the way down and down, bumps and crashes, but reaches the bottom, could be one of those. But we'll have to see about that in terms of if anything is found, because not much has been yet. But one thing that's interesting is there was one mine, I think it was Lance's latest video or his second latest one, and he was exploring one like mine shaft. Well, is it a mine shaft? I don't know. I mean, he had to kind of descend his way. I'm not sure, but it was just basically a mine, very narrow, like that, and you had to fit down it. I definitely wouldn't have been able to fit down it because of my stomach, bit fat, okay? but also like the shoulder width as well. Definitely a tight one to get down. And when you finally get down, it does open up a bit, but still probably one of the more dangerous ones Lance has been in. But, you know, he did well exploring it, and, you know, he seems quite agile and able to fit in certain places, so that's all good. There was a red paintbrush down there, which is a bit odd, don't know why. But then when Lance went the second time, which was his latest video, it was no longer there. So how does a paintbrush go missing? Unless an animal took it, dragged it with them into somewhere else, possibly, but it couldn't have been another human because they probably wouldn't have fit down it, and they probably wouldn't even see the point of going into it, because it's very narrow, hard to get into first of all, and it just doesn't seem like worth going into. So kind of weird how these like little objects disappeared. Not quite on the level of the Kenny Veach case where there was like more important things missing and more obvious stuff, but you know, you got the likes of Chase Venstra and other people similar going around scavenging and stealing, hiding and burying. You know, all things could switch and change over time, so it is definitely worth being, you know, alert of that, you know. So I think I'll end the video right now because I've talked enough. Hope you enjoyed it, and the imagery as well. I thought the quality was decent from the photos taken of those people. And yeah, we'll see you next time, and we'll see what happens next. Goodbye.